What's up, everyone? Ben with the BTC Sessions here, and this is your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.
Before we dive in, a couple quick things. Of course, shout out to sponsors of the show, Ledn.io. This is where you can go to use your Bitcoin for a couple of different services, one of which is Bitcoin-backed loans, so you can get US or Canadian dollars using your Bitcoin as collateral. And the second is a Bitcoin savings account where you can earn Bitcoin on your Bitcoin. Both of those services you can check out with the links down below. If you end up getting a loan, then they will using the link that I provided, then they will credit your account with an additional $50 worth of Bitcoin. Also, if you are a privacy-conscious individual and being in Bitcoin, you probably should be, you should really be looking into getting a VPN. VPN is a virtual private network. It helps disguise your IP address. It helps encrypt your browsing history. And as an added bonus, it helps unlock geo-blocked content. I use NordVPN, and if you sign up using the link down below, they'll give you 75% off. It ends up being about $3 a month for a 3-year plan. So feel free to check that out. And with that, we're going to dive into the news. And, you know, obviously, this is going to be the focus today. Unfortunately, I missed this. I recorded a little early just before this tweet went out, but Donald Trump has officially weighed in on Bitcoin. So let's first read what he wrote and then kind of go into the details from there. So Donald Trump said, "I am not a fan of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, which are not money and whose value is highly volatile and based on thin air. Unregulated crypto assets can facilitate unlawful behavior, including drug trade and other illegal activity. Similarly, Facebook's Libra virtual currency will have little standing or dependability. If Facebook and other companies want to become a bank, they must seek a new banking charter and become subject to all banking regulations, just like other banks, both national and international. We have only one real currency in the USA, and it is stronger than ever, both dependable and reliable. It is by far the most dominant currency anywhere in the world, and it will always stay that way. It is called the United States dollar." Wow, lots to unpack there, but yeah, essentially not a fan of Bitcoin, not a fan of digital currencies, not a fan of what Facebook is trying to do with Libra. Now, should we be surprised here? I know a lot of people were gunning for Trump to come out with just a plain Bitcoin tweet as kind of a, you know, condoning Bitcoin and liking it. But really, I don't think we should be at all surprised here. Fiscally, Trump is not actually really a conservative guy. He leans towards just printing money like nothing. Case in point, this tweet from literally a week prior. China and Europe playing big currency manipulation game and pumping money into their system in order to compete with the USA. We should match or continue being the dummies who sit back and politely watch as other countries continue to play their games as they have for many years. So he's essentially saying that other countries are inflating their currencies so as to encourage more international trade. And he's saying we should match them. We should also pump out a ton of dollars and devalue our currency to match them on an international level. So clearly, completely at odds with the ethos of Bitcoin. Now, the interesting thing here is let's go back in time a little bit. Let's go back to 2011 and let's see what Trump thought of monetary policy back then. "The Fed's reckless policies of low interest and flooding the market with dollars needs to be stopped or we will face record inflation." So essentially the absolute opposite of what he's saying now. He's saying that back then he's saying that it's absolutely reckless to be printing so much money. Of course, this was, in the midst of quantitative easing as the U.S. was printing unprecedented amounts of money and pumping it into the banking system, which has contributed to the longest bull run in the stock market ever seen. And so back then he was very against it. Now he's just like, yeah, let's print more. We got to keep up with everybody who's also doing the same. Crazy. Now, this wasn't the only interesting thing that happened with Trump's tweet in regards to public people talking about Bitcoin. The Federal Reserve chairman was in front of the Senate, and he was testifying, and he made some reference to Bitcoin. Now, they were talking about the state of the US dollar and it as a world reserve currency. He said some very interesting things. So when asked about Bitcoin and whether it's a threat to the dollar status as a reserve currency, he did say that he didn't think people were actually using it as a currency, which you can agree with or not agree with. I would say it depends on the utility and the price point of what you're trying to do. If the hurdles currently existent in the Bitcoin ecosystem of onboarding and then sending and then offboarding wherever you need to be, if that is less of a trouble than the traditional means of sending money internationally, then absolutely people are going to use it. But if it's easier to just swipe a card or pay with cash, people will likely do that. People are going for convenience. They're using Bitcoin when they need it, or they're using it as a store of value. As he alluded to here, he said that it is being used as a store of value, much like gold. So he also said that we shouldn't assume that the US dollar's status as a reserve currency is permanent. He said that with being the reserve currency, there's a reason for it, and certain, I guess, responsibilities come with that, in that you need to have good fiscal policy, otherwise people may migrate to something else. And he's saying that it will not last forever. Something else eventually will come along, as it always has. It can last a long time. You can kick the can down the road, but with increasingly poor policies, it's that much more likely that something better will come along. And personally, I think Bitcoin's looking pretty good in the face of this. So it was pretty mind-blowing to see not only the Fed chairman, but also the President of the United States speaking about Bitcoin on the same day. So pretty wild there. But furthermore, I really enjoyed this little segment here on CNBC, where the panel was talking about the tweets and the Fed chairman and the US dollar as a reserve currency. And honestly, the narrative that's being covered here, to see that on mainstream media even just a few years ago would have been absolutely mind-bending. In fact, it still is today. I watched this segment and I thought, how far has this come in just a few short years, where people are actually really understanding the implications here? They talk about, of course, there's a vested interest with the establishment, with the government, to keep the US dollar as the world reserve currency. Of course, they're not going to like stuff like Bitcoin or Libra or really any alternative that people can flock to outside of the US dollar. Not only that, but the co-host there goes on to say, well, Bitcoin was born out of kind of the Occupy Wall Street movement. It was born also out of the irresponsibility of central banks just printing money like nothing. And it only is further emboldened by these poor policies as they continue to be executed. So, man, I've got to say that this recent string of news and the commentary on it is something that has made me so much more confident. Not that I wasn't confident in the first place, but even more confident in Bitcoin's place in our future than I ever have been. Again, and we're getting to the place where something like Bitcoin itself could very much start to become a real election issue in the future. It's on the minds of the world's leaders, and it's only been around for a decade. That is impressive for sure. Now, one other thing I wanted to talk about Trump's tweets, and this is kind of joking, but kind of a little bit not. Did anybody else notice how incredibly coherent all of this was? How many large words were in there and how impeccably spelled it was? It's almost as if he didn't write it himself. I'm not saying he didn't write it himself, but I'm kind of saying he didn't write it himself. Anyways, I'm going to move away from the Trump stuff, and I just want to show you guys a couple cool things that I found fun today, and I'll wrap it up. So one of which is, and this has been around for a while, but I played with it today, you can send transmissions to outer space to the Blockstream satellite. You type out a message and you pay with Lightning Network, and literally your message will go to the satellite to outer space, and there's an actual bot on Twitter that will retweet it. So really cool here. I played with it earlier. In fact, you know what? I'm just going to do it right now. So manage transmission. Let's see here. What do I want to do here? Blockstream satellite. Okay, Y satellite transmissions. Okay, I want to broadcast a transmission. I'm going to click here. Okay, I'm going to enter your message. Doing this live on at BTC sessions. LN rocks. Okay, so I put together my message. I'm gonna bid my price. So this is a millisats per byte. So a millisat is 1/1000th of a satoshi. Yes, on Lightning Network you can have less than a satoshi. So I'm just gonna leave it as the default bid. I'll hit submit. Now I have a transmission ID authentication code. That means that probably people will be able to change it afterwards. I should probably blur that, but I guess it doesn't really matter. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how much fun you guys have with changing it via my authentication code. Anyways, pay through Lightning. There we go. So I'm paying 285. No, I'm paying way less than that. Okay, let me see. There's too many decimal places there to decipher, but let's see what's going on here. Okay, so just need to pull up my wallet, and I'll scan that. I'm paying 3 sats for this to send a message to space. I'll pay it. And there we go. Payment sent. Looks like it's all good. Okay. And now I can just hit finish. And I'll just refresh this. It looks like it was sent. Let's just head over to Twitter. Let's see if it went through. So essentially somebody set up a bot. Oh, there we go. First thing in my feed. So somebody set up a bot at Grubbles on Twitter. He set up this bot where essentially he has a Blockstream satellite set up to receive transmissions. And essentially as soon as a transmission goes through, it'll auto tweet it. So that's what you can see here. I'm just retweeting it right now. Just nice. Okay. So yeah, anyways, that's the Blockstream satellite. I'll link to that down below, but play around, do some stuff. It's cool. You get to send stuff to space. Why not? The other thing, I gotta give a shout out to the guys at BitPiggys because I met the guy who runs this in San Francisco when I was there for the Bitcoin 2019 conference, and he was nice enough to send me one for my daughter. And so what is this? It's the next generation of piggy banks. I think it's hilarious. So what this is, it's a piggy bank. Inside it, I put it here. You don't have to put it in there, but an open dime. So on Open Dime, I've done videos on the Open Dime before. Essentially, it's a way to store your Bitcoin as like a bearer bond. What does that mean? Well, I could physically give this to somebody after I've loaded it with Bitcoin, and they would know beyond a shadow of a doubt that they are the only ones who have the private keys to this Bitcoin because they haven't yet been revealed. And the way it does that is there's a little hole here. I don't know if you probably can't see that. I don't know if it's focusing. But anyways, there's a little hole. And when you actually want to spend the Bitcoin, you actually have to take a pin, a push pin, and punch out one of the circuits on it, which will trigger a light anytime it's plugged into your computer that will flash red. And so if you plug that in and somebody's saying, oh yeah, I've given you some Bitcoin, and it's flashing red, you'll know that they already know the private keys. But if it's not flashing, then you're good to go. So essentially, yeah, it's a way to give or gift physical Bitcoin to somebody without having them worry that you have the private keys and the ability to move the money. So how does this work? Essentially, I mean, the piggy bank is just kind of a fun novelty, but they provide you with a few things. They provide you with a letter with your instructions of what to do, especially for new beginners. They give you the Bitpiggy, and then they give you a handful of these QR codes that are paired, that are the actual QR code of the Open Dime. And so what that allows you to do is send money to the QR code pasted on the back of the Bitpiggy, and then you can gradually accumulate. So for me, I think this will be interesting and kind of cute as a way for my daughter to kind of learn about sound money as she grows up. So something like, and also you can swap this out, right? Like you can get a new Open Dime. It doesn't have to stay in there forever. In fact, you probably want to swap them every once in a while, just for safety's sake, so you don't have a ton of money sitting on there. But I could picture this as, hey, I'm going to put your allowance on this, or part of your allowance on this, and you can either spend it or you can let it accumulate. And hopefully, if she decides to save a little bit over time, she can look at the purchasing power of what she has saved and realize that, hey, maybe it's a good idea to actually put away some money consistently so that my savings can grow in purchasing power, and she can start to understand and grow those good habits and that low time preference. So I think it's a fucking awesome idea. Shout out to BitPiggys. And you know what? Dude gave me a second one for free, and he said, hey, if you can, give it away. And so I'm going to give this away. What I need you to do, if you want it, is the following. You need to either tweet at me on Twitter at BTC Sessions, or join my Telegram group, which is down below, or maybe Facebook. No, not Facebook. Not Facebook. Anyways, or comment on this video. So any of those, and I want you to let me know. I'm kind of gearing this towards parents, I guess. So if you have a kid, or you have a kid on the way and you think this would be a cute idea for them, I think that'd be cool. So tweet at me why you think your kid will benefit from something like this. You can just include a quote, you can include an idea, you can include a picture, a video, whatever the hell you want, and whatever I think is kind of the funnest response, I will send this off to, and I'll DM you and send it off. So anyways, shout out to BitPiggys. Awesome. Really fun. And with that, I'm going to start wrapping up. Reminder, I do have an event happening here in Calgary, an educational event for brand newbies to Bitcoin. So if you've been around a while and you're in Calgary, probably not for you, but if you know new people that need to have their hand held to get started with some good habits, then this is directed specifically at those kinds of people. Also, if you are interested in being an affiliate for this, I'm incentivizing people who are able to kind of move some tickets and fill up some seats. So if you're interested in that, just give me a shout. You can contact me at contact@btcsessions.ca and become an affiliate whenever you like. And with that, I'm going to wrap up. Be sure to hit like, subscribe, and share. If you want to support the show, you can hit up either of my sponsors that I mentioned at the beginning of the show, or you can drop me a Lightning Network tip at my Tip and Dummy page. With that, I'm out, you guys. Have a wonderful weekend. I am bullish AF after this week, and I will see you on Monday for your daily session.